Have you ever had that feeling where your code just seems to have a mind of its own? Like you wrote one set of instructions, but the computer seems to be reading from a completely different book? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the one tool that lets you read that book right alongside it, step by step. You know the feeling, right? You spend hours, maybe even days writing something that looks absolutely perfect. You hit run, and it does something totally unexpected. It's like the computer is working with some kind of secret logic you can't see. You know what you told it to do, but what is it actually doing under the hood?
And hey, if you're feeling a little intimidated by your own bugs, don't be. Even the pros have these oops moments. This is a real story, by the way. A single bug can have huge and sometimes kind of hilarious consequences. The point is, unexpected stuff happens to everyone. And today, you're going to learn how to investigate it like a real detective.
All right, let's dive in. Here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about why code can feel so confusing in the first place. Then we're going to introduce you to your new secret weapon for solving those mysteries. We'll do a hands-on session, learn to navigate the tricky parts of your code, and finally, see how this all leads to a huge breakthrough and how you understand everything.
Okay, so here's the fundamental problem. When we run our code, it all happens in a flash. Milliseconds, really. We write the script, but we only ever see the final act. We miss the entire journey in between, all those tiny little decisions and calculations the computer is making. And that journey, that's where all the secrets are hidden.
So how do we actually see that journey? How do we slow it all down? Well, we use a tool called a debugger. And don't worry, it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds. The best way to think of it is like a remote control for your code. It lets you pause, play, and inspect every single step. And that's really the best part. The debugger literally gives you that remote control. It lets you hit pause at any moment you choose, and then you can move forward one step at a time, looking at everything as you go. You are in complete control. And this right here is the perfect analogy. Running your code normally, that's like speed reading a book. You get the gist of the ending, but you totally miss the details. But using a debugger, that's like reading the same book in super slow motion. You can pause on any word, any sentence, and really think about what it means before you decide to move on. Okay, enough theory. The absolute best way to learn this is by doing it. So let's take a look at a really simple calculator program. Let's imagine we're trying to add 5 and 10, but for some reason the program is telling us the answer is 105. That's definitely not right. So let's use the debugger to figure out why. First things first, we need to tell the debugger where to pause. And we do this by setting something called a breakpoint, which is literally just a bookmark in your code story. We'll find the line where the addition is supposed to happen, click in the margin right next to the line number, and poof, a little red dot appears. That's it. You've just set your first breakpoint. Now, here's the magic. When you run your code in debug mode, it's going to race along like normal until it hits that little red dot. Then, everything freezes. The program just stops and waits for your next command. You, my friend, are now in the driver's seat. Okay, so our code is paused right at our breakpoint in the calculator. Now what? We don't want to just be stuck there, right? We want to explore. We want to see the story of our code unfold, line by line. Let's check out how to do that. This is a really, really important question. Let's say our code is paused on the line that calls our special add function. Do we just have to skip over it and trust that it works? Or can we actually follow the code into that function to see exactly how it's doing its magic? And our book analogy is perfect for this. To see what's going on inside that add function, you use the step in button. Think of this like deciding to read a really detailed footnote in your book. You're diving deeper into the function to see how it works. Then, once you're done, you use step out. That's like closing the footnote and jumping right back to your exact spot in the main story. Now, there are a few other essential buttons in your new remote control. Continue is like saying, okay, fast forward to my next bookmark. Step over is for when you trust that footnote. You know the add function works, you just want to get to the very next line without going inside. And of course, rerun and stop are pretty self-explanatory. Start the story over or just close the book for now. So let's just pull all of this together. By placing these little bookmarks and using these simple navigation controls, you've completely changed your relationship with your code. Seriously, you are no longer just a spectator hoping it works out. You are an active detective, and you are in full control of the investigation. And most debuggers give you this awesome little dashboard to help out. you'll usually have a section that lists all your bookmarks, which is super helpful. And you'll see something called the call stack. This thing is fantastic. It's basically a trail of breadcrumbs showing you exactly how you got to your current spot in the code.
And this, right here, this is the most important takeaway of all. Yes, the debugger is the best tool for squashing bugs, no question. But its real power, its true power, is that it's an incredible learning tool. By watching your code execute line by line, you get this deep intuitive understanding of how programming actually works. So, I'm going to leave you with this thought. You now have the power to understand your code on a completely new level. So the next time you get stuck, don't get frustrated. Get curious. Fire up that debugger and go unlock the secrets that your code is just waiting to tell you.